All right, so this is a short little video on cloning. We're using a Mac right now because I know there's some people with some concerns about how do you clone a repo on a Mac. It's essentially the same process as if you were on Ubuntu in the Windows subsystem for Linux, or if you were logged onto the VPS, or you were doing it from the Raspberry Pi, because it's all just a Unix environment. Okay, so what we're going to do on the Mac is we essentially have a empty folder. We run an ls, you'll see it's empty. Now yours may not be empty, it doesn't really matter. We just created an empty folder so that you could see the two separate folders we'll end up creating. And assuming you've already forked your CSCI 1423 repo and you're looking to clone it locally as opposed to working off the clone that you had created in the past on the VPS, to do that, we're going to type git space clone space. And this is where we're going to put the URL for your own personal repo. So the way a lot of people like to do this is they go out to GitLab and they go to their own personal CSCI 1423 project. And on the right-hand side, there should be a button where it says fork. And when you go there, there's an option to clone using HTTPS. You don't need to use SSH, you can just use HTTPS. So select that URL. Copy it, and then when you switch back over to your terminal, you can just right-click and it will paste that URL in there so that you will have git space clone space https //gitlab.com/your username /csci1423.git. You can go ahead and hit enter. It should prompt you for your GitLab username and password. This is not the VPS username and password because you're making a local clone on your own personal machine. Type in your username, password.
Oh, for me, it didn't prompt it.
Oh.
That's because I already.
Yes. If you've already saved your username and password, it won't prompt you. But for some people, it will prompt you for your username and password. And basically, when it's done, you run an ls, and you should see a CSCI 1423 repo. This is your own personal repo, the one where you created a homework folder and a labs folder and all that sort of stuff. And just to sort of cover that again, let's go ahead and cd into this. And Zach just made a brand new fork, so this essentially doesn't have much of anything in it. So we're going to go ahead and type mkdir space and the name of our folder. So what do we want to name our folder? Homework?
Mm-hmm.
Homework. Enter. We'll cd into homework. And let's say nano whatever.pl. And we'll say hash bang /usr/bin/perl. And below that, we'll say print space, double quote, whatever, bang bang, /n, double quote, semicolon. Control O to save. Enter. Save it underneath that name. Control X. And assuming this was an assignment, we would type Perl space, name of our program, which is whatever.pl. And it should print out whatever, bang, bang. Let's go ahead now. Assuming we've completed our assignment or we're just ready to push it, we type git space add space star. Star being the asterisk. We hit enter. That adds it to the staging area. And if you run a git space status right now, you don't have to run git space status all the time. It's just if you want to check, you should see that it has been added. It's in green, right? But it hasn't been committed yet. Right? So basically, we've added it. We've said, hey, we want to track it locally, but we haven't committed it to a log. Right? So what we're going to type now is git space commit space -m space double quote and our commit message. So we'll write pushing whatever.pl to homework. Closing double quote. We'll hit enter. And this commits it to the log. So we've added it to, so it's the staging area. We've committed it to say this is an official change that we want to note in our local clone. And then finally, we need to push this official change up to our origin server. So we're going to type git space push. Hit enter. And then this is where If you've saved your username and password, then it won't prompt you. Otherwise, it'll prompt you for your GitLab username and password, and it will upload it there. Okay. So again, that's the process of working with your own. Okay. We're actually going to type cd space dot dot to get out of homework. And we'll type cd space dot dot again to get out of your own personal CSCI 1423 repo. And if you run ls, you can see that, hey, there's that CSCI 1423 repo. Okay. And again, same processes that you use on the VPS are the same process you use on the Mac terminal or Ubuntu Windows subsystem for Linux, or if you're remoted into the pod. Same exact processes. It's just a Unix command line interface. Right? What we're going to do now, though, is so you've got a local clone of your repo. If you want a clone of the repo that we push lecture notes to, okay, which is actually probably a good thing to have, what we're going to do is essentially create another clone. So we're going to type git space clone space, and then this is where we'll get the URL for our course repo. So not your forked CSCI 1423, but my CSCI 1423. And so we can jump back out to GitLab. We can go to the repo page, which isn't your username CSCI 1423, but within the group CSCI 1423. Go to fork, select the HTTPS clone URL, and we switch back over to terminal and right click to paste it. And you'll notice it's basically git space clone space https://gitlab.com/CSCI1423/CSCI1423.git. We're going to actually now type space, and then we're going to give the name of a new folder. So we're going to call it course notes. And we'll hit enter. And again, it may prompt you for username or password. Whenever it's done, if you type ls, you should see CSCI 1423, which is your repo, and a folder called course notes, which is a clone of my CSCI 1423 repo. So as you saw there in that previous line, when you type git space clone in the URL, and then you give it the name of a new folder, it won't name that new folder the same as whatever it was up on origin. It will copy the contents of whatever is up on origin in that repo into that new folder. And of course, you can cd into course notes and see any of the stuff that we've pushed or made available. And you can run a git pull at any time in case we push new course notes to this in order to get the latest stuff. Right? That way, if you want to go up to GitLab and look at it that way, you can, or you can just run a git pull in your course notes repo to get the latest changes that have been made to our course-wide CSCI 1423 repo. You cannot push to this repo because you don't have permissions. You don't have developer permissions or reporter permissions. You have to, in order to push, you will only be able to push on your CSCI 1423 repo, which is the one you have forked, and thus the one you are owner or controller of. That's it for a quick little refresher on cloning, grabbing notes, and of course, a demo on a Mac, which again, the Mac terminal, just like the Ubuntu Windows subset. I say just like, there are some slight differences, but for most of what we're doing here, you can operate the same way. You have access to Nano, you have access to Perl, you can CD, ls, and you can use Git. So that's it for this video. Thank you.